I became a caregiver at the age of 30, and it was very sudden. In the following years, my husband and I lost 3 of 4 parents and a sibling, and my husband was incapacitated 2 times and bedbound, and that all happened in less than a decade. So my caregiving life began very suddenly with my mom. A lot of people don't identify as a caregiver for a while into the journey because they're just picking up things around to help, to, maybe check the bills, pick up groceries, things like that. And for me, my 60-year-old mother was diagnosed with brain tumors and had a craniotomy that day. And so by that night, I knew that her prognosis would be very poor because that's what the neurosurgeon said, and that she wasn't expected to live for weeks. And so that was the moment that I said, well, I'll take care of her the best way that I can in return for her taking such good care of me. And she didn't live for weeks, she lived for a year and 3 days. But during that time, it was very difficult to maintain a 24-hour-a-day caregiving role and my job. And we were right in that gap. We were a little too young. Like I said, my mom was 60, I was 30. There weren't a lot of resources for us. And I didn't have the knowledge base because what 30-year-old plans for that? It's just not a part of life. You're getting married, you're working. We had just bought a house, my husband and I. That's where my mind frame was. And so I was thrust very suddenly into the world of caregiving and then lived there for many years after. For me, it completely derailed my life, but it gave me a whole new one because now I get to advocate for family caregivers. I had the dream of becoming the type of lawyer that I needed at the time when I caregave for my mom, and so I did. And I'm very fortunate for that, but dovetailing off the conversation, the two things that I identify as a sudden and constant caregiver over a long period of time now is that caregivers need information, they need resources. It's too hard when you're in the process of it to find it yourself. It's reinventing the wheel. The information needs to come to you. You need to be trained by medical providers for what to do when you come home from the hospital. You need to have access to respite care because one person cannot caregive 24 hours a day and keep all the other balls of their life up in the air. It is just too hard. Caregivers can do anything, but they can't do everything, is something my friend Amy Goyer from AARP always says. And it's true. It just leads to burnout. So the gift of time through respite care and the gift of being able to maintain employment if they know that they need to have a job, and most people need to have a job. We were talking about the costs of caregiving earlier. People now need $11,500 more a year than they needed in 2021 just to maintain the same standard of living. And then if you add in the extra out-of-pocket costs of caregiving, and a lot of us take care of more than one person at a time, so it's $7,000, and then you multiply it. People need to remain in their jobs and work. So in my personal and professional life, I feel strongly that the resources that we need to give to people are information, grants, tax credits, paid leave, and really the gift of time to spend with their loved ones while they have them.